You know, for the past couple of nights, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back, my friends. I'm Tom, and this is the simulcast up and running now for Friday night, TGIF, Friday, February 17th, 1995. Kennedy and I have been saying all week long to each other that that little opening title that we run is Lexington, Kentucky. And I said to him, are you sure that that's Lexington? He says, you know, it might be Cincinnati. I said, yeah, because Lexington wouldn't have that tall building. He said, yeah, and the river doesn't run by it either. Welcome to the show that has no idea where it is, okay? My guests tonight are author and very good friend Harlan Ellison and Texas Senator Jerry Patterson. Now, the last time Harlan Ellison was here at CBS, he literally blew up the Twilight Zone, okay? And tonight he's in the studio saying, can I beat the chops of the guy from Texas? So God knows what's going to happen here tonight. My goodness. Let me take you to the news here. You may have heard this on radio, or there may have been spot coverage on your television stations earlier tonight, but just a few hours back, a verdict was rendered in one of the most bizarre cases in the history of this country. You might recall this thing. It all began during December of 1993 on the Long Island Railroad in suburban New York. A passenger, Colin Ferguson, suddenly and for no apparent reason, opened fire during the evening rush hour on the train. He killed 6 people and hurt 19 more. But that was only the beginning of the terror for the victims in this case. Colin Ferguson would later plead not guilty and chose to represent himself in this trial. This is file videotape. His victims had to face him as he cross-examined them. He served as his own attorney. Well, tonight the jury convicted him after deliberations of only 10 hours. And one victim, Robert Giuliano, the last to be shot during the spree, joins us on the telephone now live from his home in Long Island, New York. Robert, thank you for coming on and welcome to CBS.
How you doing this evening, Tom?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Robert. Your thoughts when the verdicts were rendered here a couple of hours ago on the disposition of justice in the case of Colin Ferguson. What'd you think?
I was elated. I was excited. It was a sigh of relief that came over everybody. And I think it's another chapter in this book that I could possibly close right now.
Right. Let me ask you, I mentioned that you were the last to be shot. So you must have seen this whole thing playing out before your eyes as Ferguson was walking up and down the train shooting people. Can you give me some of the sense of that?
A sense of disbelief. You know, when I got up to get by the vestibule to leave the train at the next stop, I heard gunfire, and I looked to the rear of the car, and I saw Colin Ferguson standing there and just firing left and right at random, just shooting people, just shooting away. At one point, there was a moment of silence. His gun was empty. Excuse me. And he reloaded. And at that point, he came towards my end of the car. And at that point, we're trying to get off the car. We're trying to get out. We're pushing people down. And at the last minute, the shots got a lot closer to me. And I turned to my left. But just before I turned to my left, there was a girl that just started crawling. Marita McToto, who's been with me through this whole trial, she was killed at my feet. And right after that, I just turned to my left and I looked him in the eyes, and he fired twice at me, but only one shot hit, and I went through my arm into my chest.
Yeah. Let me ask you, when he looked at you, how did he, was he angry? Was he vacant-eyed? Was he staring? How did he look to you at that time?
That same face, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was like a sick-looking grin he had, like he was enjoying what he was doing. I was just, I was just fearing for my life at that point. That's really what went through my mind. I thought I was going to die. I saw him point at me, fire, and I didn't know what was going to happen after that.
And now that it's all over, how quickly do you think you'll be able to put your life back together and resume some kind of normal existence, my friend?
It started about 3 weeks ago. It started coming together when I testified because I was one of the witnesses that unnerved him. I shook him up. This man feared me on the stand because what I didn't say in my mouth, I said in my eyes. I stared him down, and he remembered me. He recognized my face. I knew it, and he knew I knew what would happen.
Right.
And, I was telling the truth.
Robert, I know you have to get up early in the morning, but I thank you for coming on here tonight. And when you get to NBC, say hi to all our friends at the Today Show, will you?
I certainly will, Tom.
Okay. Good night, Robert, and thanks again for your time.
Good night. Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye-bye. Robert Giuliano, one of the victims of Colin Ferguson in that attack on the Long Island Railroad back in 1993, elated, as you heard him say, at the conviction of Ferguson by a jury in New York late this evening. You know, one of the things that I wish, could I take just a second here? I know we're a little bit late, but, you know, when you have your own show, you can pretty much, I wish that you could join us, all of us here, the boys and girls who do this show. We have food sent into the conference room around 10 p.m. Pacific time, or Eastern time, 7 Pacific, and we have a little dinner and kind of plan what we're going to do here tonight. And often moments of great humor and brilliance come up during these suppers. We have a very nice young man who works as the assistant to the producers, Tammy Haddad and CZ Horowitz. John Stevens was telling a story tonight about being a member of a high school football team, and the coach apparently was ragging the guys. You know, high school coaches can sometimes be very, very tough on their high school football teams. And he's talking to these kids about the equipment, about their pads, about their trousers, about their supporters, et cetera, et cetera. And he looks at John Stevens. He says, of course, in your case, he says, for a supporter, all you need is a peanut shell and a rubber band. And Stevens looks back at the coach. He says, that ain't what your wife told me. And, of course, the coach then ran him till he dropped, okay? But I mean, when you spend dinners with stories such as this, the show here is almost an anticlimax some nights. Not tonight, but, you know, on some nights. So maybe we should put the camera in the chow room some night and just, you know, throw it open to the folks. Coming up, Harlan Ellison and the magic of your phone calls on the toll-free highway. Back after these messages, let's get this show on the road.
All right, so what? So we're coming on the air. So what?
He's already starting. Harlan Ellison has written more than 60 books and 1,700 short stories, scripts, and columns. He is a cornerstone of modern American literature, and as an author and social critic, his volatility is matched only by his honesty. Please welcome my good friend, Mr. Harlan Ellison. Welcome back, Harlan. It's nice to see you.
God, I'm terrific.
The last time you were here was the Twilight Zone, huh?
Well, they were a little annoyed at me. They were a little. Well, you know, it was the damnedest thing. We brought back the Twilight Zone. It was a great show.
Yeah.
We did a wonderful show.
Yeah.
And they kept pushing me. They kept saying, direct. You got to direct. I said, why should I direct? I said, any Schmendrick can direct. I could write. Not everybody can do that. So they said, no, you'll do a small one. So I said, okay. So I did this wonderful little script called Knackles, which was for Christmas time, and it was about a racist and a bigot. Who tells a black kid that Santa is white, so he doesn't come to little nigger kids. You'll never see him. And it was a tough, and Eddie Astor was cast as this guy, and it was
what a great Christmas show this would be. I mean, you know, how lighthearted.
I get sick to death of Christmas shows. They could give you diabetes. You know, I mean, if you look at a Christmas Carol, the only interesting person in Christmas Carol is Scrooge. All the rest of them are suckers. You know, they really give me a pain in the ass, particularly Tiny Tim, little mawkish brat. Anyhow, so I wanted to do this great script. And they said, oh, it would offend people. I said, who? Bigots? Racists?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they said, well, now get this. One of the CBS executives, who, I don't know, he's out, you know, planting
but since you've been here, they've all turned over 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not putting them down, but they've turned over a lot, you know.
Well, that stick a fork in them, then you turn them over, they're done. That's why they're gone. Yeah. And they actually says to me, he says, we took it up into Harlem and we gave the script to people to read at random and they were offended. I said, what do I look like? I just fell off the turnip. Like, you see this white dude in a suit walking up to 101st and First Avenue in Harlem. Say, here, read this script. Are you offended? Well, I'm very offended by this. Come on, give me a break here. Can I ask your readers, your listeners to do me a favor?
Yes.
This is, I don't know which, I guess can't. The earthquake broke my mug.
Yeah.
It is a foghorn leghorn mug. There's also one with Bugs Bunny. We got to crack in that one. We need 2 mugs. If there's anybody out there who's got the mug, would you please get in touch through Tom? We brought it. My wife said it's the only place you're going to get it.
What is this, QVC? I mean, we might be in 2 weeks, but we're not now. It hasn't happened yet.
You know what coming on this show is? It is the worst hustle in the world.
Oh, stop.
When somebody hears I'm coming on this show, they don't, so weirdos come out of the woodwork. Would you mention my mother? Would you mention a book that I got the comic, right? We're going to talk about the comic.
Yeah, the comic,
But there's a guy at Dark Horse Comics. He sent me a t-shirt with a number on it so you can call to buy comics. He says you got to wear it and show it on TV.
Oh, no, they stop at nothing, the sales crew.
So I'm wearing it.
Please, I beg it.
I'm not showing it. I'm not going to show it, but I got it on.
Good.
The guy says, you got to show it. I said, what am I, your shill?
Before we get to the comic, tell this audience how much you love to travel.
I love to travel about as much as I'd like a hysterectomy with a roto-rooter.
So then you must have really enjoyed when you and the dear, fair Susan went on the Carnival cruise. Tell me how much fun this is.
You really, you're bad. You're bad.
No, tell me about the Carnival cruise. I see Kathy Lee, and they're singing and dancing, and we never had it so good in the morning and the evening.
They were very nice to us. I make it sound terrible. It's only because I'm a pain in the butt. That's the only reason. Susan and I have been married 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually,
which, by the way, in itself is a gift from God and a miracle that we never thought was going to happen. Okay, I've known you 25 years. We thought this was never, ever going to happen.
The woman is the only person in my entire life, including my parents, who could stand to be in my company for 2 hours without running screaming into the street.
Yeah.
So I had planned a honeymoon. So it's 10 years, and I haven't quite gotten around to it.
She's been saying, when are we taking the honeymoon? And you've been saying, when the weather breaks.
Right, exactly. So she said, so we get this invitation from some nice people. They said, we've got a mystery tour, and if you will be the guest author, beta author on the ship, all you have to do is, do a reading and talk to the people and maybe involve yourself in this little murder that'll happen.
Right, yeah.
It'll be everything, all expenses paid.
Yeah.
So, they fly you down to,
Florida.
No, not Florida.
The Bahamas. Mexico.
Will you stop? Jesus, do you want to tell the story?
No, I don't, but I want to get it to the finish.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where it was down not Cuernavaca, but...
it doesn't make any difference.
In the Mexico.
Baja.
Further down.
Okay. Yucatan Peninsula.
Wherever. And then they bring you back up. It was Guataneo and Ixtapa and Puerto Vallarta and all that kind of stuff. So I said to her, okay, you want to do it? I'll do it. We get on this boat. We get on this big boat. And it's full of altar cockers. I mean, we're talking here all these old people with varicose veins and clothing
did they have
of a color that would blind you.
Did they have any oxygen bottles at the tables at dinner?
Well, no, but they make you sit with people you don't like.
Yeah, I know.
They made me sit with a guy who had bought his way to the table. I understand, because he thought I was hot stuff. So he bought his way onto this table, and he was a soap opera actor. And he said, I knew you from 20 years ago. And this was a guy who was the buddy of a guy who beat up a woman I used to date. And he thought I was going to like him, and he was monstrous. I had to eat every meal with this doofus. Anyhow, so one night we're walking I sat in the room most of it. I sat in the cabin, and I wrote a story. Yeah. It was the only way I could save my sanity. We're walking to dinner. I said to my wife, who are all these old farts? She said, people your age, stupid. And they were. Very depressing. Very depressing.
I'll tell you, your wife is a patient and a wonderful woman. I probably love her more than you do, for reasons different from the reasons you do, but she is...
She is the sun in the world.
Yeah, and the only story I could tell, I've never taken a cruise, but I had a friend who took one time, and like you, he didn't like it because basically, and look, I'm not trying to put down cruises, they're wonderful things, but I think you have to like to eat a lot and sit and look at the ocean a lot.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that if you like it, but this guy hated it. So the third night out, the purser came and he said, Mr. X, he said, the captain would be inviting you to have dinner with him tonight at his table. He says, tell the captain, I don't eat with the help. You love it?
I like that. But I don't mean to be ungracious. No. Everybody was,
Exactly.
They really were nice to us, and we got exactly what they promised to give us. It's just that I can't, you leave me alone with nothing to do, I go crazy.
I understand. It's hard for you to sit for this long.
Yeah, I get in a lot of trouble. I was in the ready room with your next guest. Mister, give me a gun and I'll kill everybody inside. No, he's actually a very nice
Very nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, just don't give him a gun.
We were talking about, listen, it's not nice.
Don't let him leave the building, okay? Tell him Harlan's just kidding,
I got to show you something.
Let me do you a commercial and then we'll get the comics. This is a fabulous, so this is more like it's not a comic. What do they call them?
Graphic novels?
Graphic novels.
Well, no, it's really just a comic book.
Like
it's adaptations of my stories, with me leading you through talking about them.
Okay. Harlan Ellison is here. You are here on the toll-free line at 800-95-CBS-TV. Any similarities between tonight and the Long Island Railroad are purely accidental. We'll be right back after these messages. We are back with Harlan Ellison, and joining us on the toll-free from Milwaukee is Alan. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
Great. It's good to see you off the cable and back on Real TV.
Thank you very kindly, Alan. Although, what channel are we on in Milwaukee?
You moved up to channel 29 because 6 went to Fox.
Okay, so we're up to 29 and counting, right?
That's about it, yeah.
Anyway, what's on your mind tonight, Alan?
Harlan, I loved your intro to the, I think it was the Wizard special on DC Comics a few months back.
Yeah, I got snookered into that. I didn't know I was doing an intro to DC Comics. I thought I was doing a history of 50 years of their publishing. I was not wildly enthusiastic about that little gig.
Well, I still enjoyed the piece because I agreed with much of your sentiments. But I guess I wanted to know what you think of what's happening with mainstream comics today as opposed to the alternatives.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I was looking at I flew back in from Denver today, and
boy.
And are my arms tired? Yeah. Well. I was hoping we wouldn't do that routine. And the guy beside me had finished his USA Today, so I pick it up and I'm looking at it. And here is Alphonse D'Amato, who is one of the great slug human beings of our time. I mean, this is a man who leaves a moist trail when he walks.
Wait, don't hold back, okay? Don't hold back. Don't sugarcoat.
Well, listen to Alphonse D'Amato talk about Bill Clinton's duplicity and evil. It's like listening to Heinrich Himmler discuss Adolf Eichmann's bad table management. So, anyhow, Alphonse D'Amato is getting it on with Ron Perlman's ex-wife. Now someone said,
Claudia Cohen.
Right.
Yeah.
And Ron.
Yeah. She used to write a column in the New York Daily News called Claudia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, I swear to God, this is like Caligula mating with Medea. It's really, it's wonderful. They will produce three-headed children. And I'm actually answering your question.
The long way around.
The long way around. And Ron Perlman is the guy, he's like this Wall Street monster and a takeover guy and a white mailer and all that kind of thing. He bought Marvel Comics a few years ago.
Right.
And everybody said, oh, it's a brand new, it's going to be a new horizon for it. Well, what he's doing is he's running the entire comic book industry right into the ground, he's bleeding it dry. He just bought.
Really?
Yeah. He just bought.
But now, wait a second. Hold it. Now, you see,
I'll tell you what.
Okay, but now, there's a guy who runs the comic book company, Bill Bevins. You know him?
I know the name, but...
Well, you see, Perlman owns the company, but Bevins runs the company, and I know Bevins, and he happens to be a good guy. I don't think he's the kind of a guy that would run this company into the ground, although you would know more about comics than
Marvel Comics is so scared witless of Perlman that they're going in all directions and wants to do something so they can look like there's some action there because he needs action.
Yeah.
And what they have just done is they bought the third largest distributor of comics, Heroes World, and Marvel now owns it, and they are pressuring all of the retailers to stock more Marvel product and just, freeze out DC and freeze out Dark Horse, freeze out everybody. And the whole industry is in a terrified state.
By the way, I have your Spider-Man tie for you upstairs.
You have a Spider-Man tie for me? I don't think so. Anyhow, does that answer your question?
Does it ever, Alan, huh?
I agree with you. I think what Marvel did ever since they screwed Jack Kirby on down has been terrible.
Well, Jack Kirby died.
Yeah, I know.
Doug Wildey died. In fact, one of the guys, Doug Wildey, who did a piece in this comic of mine, it was his last piece before he died.
Oh, yeah, Wildey was great. Yeah, no, I stopped by Marvel when they screwed Kirby. It was a political statement for me.
Alan, I'm very glad you called. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And as a native of Milwaukee, how's the weather there tonight?
Nice. It's supposed to get up to 50 this weekend.
Okay, have a good weekend, Alan. Thanks for calling.
Okay, you too, Tom.
All right, bye-bye. On to Harlan's Dream Corridor. This is the comic book, and I understand this is available at a ridiculously low introductory price.
As a matter of fact, this is the special, and we go monthly in the end of March. And how this came to be is a fascinating story, which if you'd like to hear it, Tom, I would be happy to tell you.
Yes, I certainly would like to hear it, Harlan.
About don't start with it. About 3 years. I'll see your comic and raise you. Anyhow.
And by the way, incidentally, get the addresses of all the people who called because Harlan's publisher here, Dark Star,
Dark Horse, Dark
Star,
Big difference.
Yeah, true. Has given us some free copies, and we'll send them out to the listeners
very nice.
tonight.
Lou Bank is sitting at a telephone
Lou Bank.
Lou Bank is the marketing manager. He's one of the 4 officers of Dark Horse, which is this wonderful comic book company up in, speaking of Milwaukee, they're in Milwaukee, Oregon.
Oh, sure. I know where that is.
Milwaukee, Oregon, which is right outside Portland. And Lou is the guy who has been driving me crazy with Mention Dark Horse. We got this comic book. In fact, he gives me this comic. Look, T-shirt number so that everyone can call to find a comic.
You're going to make me hold it up? I'm not going to hold it up.
This is not a Dark Horse number. This is a number, a general number. This is not everything.
I'm not going to show the number. If you want to show the number, you can show the number. Now, that's not your camera.
Well, I know that, but I wanted.
Don't use my camera to show the telephone. Use your.
Well, I could.
I'm not going to shield the.
Wait, no. I'll put it on the back. I'll put it on the back of your chair. They're right.
Just hold it up and put it away.
All right. I'm holding it up. Okay. But the camera's off. See, now the light is on. Okay,
there, it's fine.
Write the number down so that Lou Bank will get off my back. Okay, Lou? Now piss off.
We have 6 seconds to make a decision on that word. Before the delay. See?
I know, but it's after hours. That's an okay word.
I don't say that word on the air. I'm funny.
You don't say any bad words. You could eat off your mouth. It's that clean. Do you remember the night? The one thing that I said that got you knocked off.
There have been so many, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not going to repeat it. I said the two ugliest things in the world were watching blah 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 and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was, and the attorneys, you could hear them geschrying in the booth. I mean, there was blood on the wall. The guys were screaming and hitting. It was terrible. Anyhow, how this came.
The last person to hold up a number like that and shill a number on the air with me on television. Guess who it was?
Alphonse D'Amato.
No. Somebody that you know and love desperately named Howard Stern. When he was shilling a record.
I've done a Howard Stern number?
Now,
you realize I now must bite through my own wrist and kill myself. How can you do this to me?
Well, he did. He wouldn't stop with this ridiculous phone number to buy the record of things the FCC wouldn't let you hear, and after you listened to him, you knew why the FCC didn't want you to hear him.
It's terrible when someone said, when are you going to be on Tom's show? When are you going to be on? And I said, well, once he gets done with the big stars.
And boy, are we done with them.
I've watched a few of the shows.
Oh yeah.
And
it was like watching paint dry, huh?
It was okay. I like the Gingriches. I thought well, yes, Newt's, what is new? Newt's, I think Newt's grown up now.
Yeah. The next day, the producers, and these are very nice people, and they only want the best for you and for me and for America. And they said, geez, why weren't the Gingriches better? I said, what would you expect to happen with two people who drink in their 70s at 2 o'clock in the morning in Pennsylvania? What would you think was going to happen? Yeah. I mean, would you think that they would have given you the thrust of Plato's Republic is what's going to come out of their mouth? What do you expect is going to happen? Are they going to tell you how to get to Sarajevo by way of minks? They don't know. All they know is Newt's grown up. That's the end of it.
They happen to be in the news that day.
Right. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
If they would get out of your way and let you talk to schmendricks like me, you'd have a funny show.
Exactly. That's what I keep saying. You just turn on the cameras.
But the show with Whoopi was good.
Thanks. You say I never say anything dirty. I just about said the dirtiest word of them all, but I'm not going to do it.
You weren't going to say Nixon.
Oh, reverence for the dead from Mr. Ellison. Oh, praise from Caesar is praise indeed.
Reverence for the dead. The problem with America is not that we have too many.
What is the problem with America?
The problem with America is real simple, Tom. It's not that we got too much violence or that we've got too many drugs or that our people are basically bone stick stone stupid or anything. It's that we don't hold a grudge long enough. Everybody who went by that guy's coffin, they went out, out there. Richard.
Okay.
Would you like to drive a stake through his heart?
Does that mean we should not buy any cars produced by former enemy countries?
Well, I don't drive a Volkswagen. I have a Geo, which is made in America by short Japanese people.
You are so politically correct. It's scary. Back with Harlan Ellison. And more of you on the toll-free line at 800-95-CBS-TV. Hey, CBS, you ask? Into our farewell show here at CBS with Harlan Ellison. Why don't we just bring the drinks out now and really just go crazy? Next week, Pat's guest. Next week with us, Jack Lemmon, Robert James Waller II, and Anthony Quinn. On the phone lines now for Mr. Ellison is Jeff in Miami, Florida. Hello.
Morning, Tom and Harlan.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Okay, Harlan, we met years ago back in the 70s. We both collected film soundtracks. In fact, you bought some of my film soundtracks. And I'm wondering if you're still collecting movie scores and soundtracks.
You mean the Ennio Morricone film tracks?
That's him.
Oh, yeah, I got them. I got 400 of them now.
Wow.
What exactly?
Well, when you say Ennio Morricone, most people say, who is that? I mean, apart from the fact that he's been nominated for many Academy Awards, he wrote the music for Days of Heaven and a lot of other very famous films. He's basically an Italian who wrote the music for all of what they call the spaghetti westerns.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Wah, 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 wah. That's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's when I was up for Writers Guild Award.
Let me just hear him one more time.
What?
Let me hear him one more time.
Wah, 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 wah. Letter perfect. When I was working on Twilight Zone, I got nominated for a Writers Guild Award.
Yep.
And two of the other people working on the show also got nominated. So we were all at the same table on the night of the Writers Guild Awards. And they got there before Susan and I arrived. And when I walked up to the table, they all looked up like this, you know, them steely eyes like that. Yeah. And I looked at them and I went, wah, 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 wah. And I won. But that's...
Which really pleased them, didn't it?
Oh, I no mercy. Show no mercy. My philosophy of life has always been anything that is not nailed down is mine. And anything I can pry loose is not nailed down. So yes, I do still collect Morricone.
Any other composers?
Well, I listen to mostly classical music and Stevie Ray Vaughan and old-time rock and roll. So I listen to a lot of stuff.
What parts of the old-time rock and roll? I love all that stuff.
Well, I go all the way back to what they used to call race records. R&B. R&B was what I love that stuff. And I got like Day, Dusk, and Dawn doing You Came Last Night and the Night Before. Go. I mean, I really get off on that. And I play it while I'm working, which drives my wife, of course, insane because I crank it up to 180 decibels. People down the street are screaming, dogs are bleeding. So, I love anything that comes, I suppose, pre-rap. I can listen to anything pre-rap.
Gotcha. Jeff, I'm glad you called. Thanks for watching our show.
Thank you.
You know what I wish? I wish that you were covering the O.J. trial for television and that you would come on at the end of each session and tell us exactly what you thought was going on.
Well, in fact, Tom, I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm here tonight to talk about my 1-900 call Al line. You watch it each day, you say, what? I mean, am I in Oz?
Wherever
and what I want to know is, what did all of those people from the media who went to that bogus press conference think they were going to hear? I mean, did they really think that Al Collins was going to come out and say, yes, I was there and watched him slash their throats, and I'm here to talk about it? I don't think so.
No.
He said, I'm going to talk about our childhood and when we played in the NFL. Really?
Really? Yeah. $3.95 the first match.
But I'm not making any money off it.
No. Well, you have to understand one thing about America. Nobody's making any money off of anything.
Not a dime.
Nope.
I want to understand why it is that O.J. is allowed to have this ghost-written, really badly ghost-written book written while he's in prison. I understood that was not supposedly okay.
Isn't there something like the Son of Sam law where you're not allowed to write about things?
Or is that only until when you're convicted?
I think only after conviction. I'm sure there's a loophole.
Up until that time, you can do a whole Jim Baker on everybody.
I guess so.
Take as much as possible.
You know, I was listening to Paul Harvey today. And Paul Harvey is a gifted radio communicator. And he read a letter, which I suspect he may have written to himself, in which he said, who is the one man in the world that Nicole Simpson's Akita would not have attacked if she were in trouble? Isn't that a great question?
Yeah, that is an interesting question.
It's a great answer, too, isn't it?
One falls speechless before the obviousness of it. I mean, everybody says, well, he's innocent until proved guilty. No, but that's before the bar of law.
That's in the court.
That's in the court.
Not here.
In the real world, where you look at it and you say, what is this conspiracy? It's like the Schmendrick on the subway. It says conspiracy against me, right? For all these people that's watched me shoot them, they're in a conspiracy. I wasn't actually there. I didn't do it. It was the man in the moon did it. And people listen. It's like the Tawana Brawley thing. Yeah. Remember that? She was put in a bag and they had bad words written on it, defecation. Everybody knew it was bull right from the get-go, but everybody goes along with it. And I can never understand why someone doesn't just say, stop this. This is craziness. The O.J. Simpson trial is
a circus.
It's a circus, but it's really annoying to watch F. Lee Bailey strutting around like a powder pigeon. You know, just so full of himself thinking he's Perry Mason and saying, do you know about invisible footprints? And the cop says, what are you talking about? Invisible footprints? Are you out of your Mesopotamian mind?
Where are you coming from?
He says, do you know that if you shine a sarcophagoid light on it, that you can see footprints that were not there? Who gives a damn? We saw the blood all over the damn place.
We are with Harlan Ellison, author, back with him, and then on to Senator Jerry Patterson of Texas and concealed weapons in the Lone Star State as the simulcast continues for Friday after these messages. We are are back with Harlan Ellison. You were going to tell us the story of
my comic.
The dream sequence, yeah.
Yeah. What happened was about 4 years ago, Showtime.
The movie thing.
The cable deal.
TV,
They wanted me to do a series that I would host. And they came to me and they said, we'd like you to do a series. And they said, you can either do adaptations of your own stories,
right,
or you can do stuff from your book, Dangerous Visions. So I said, well, either one. They decided that it would be better if I did my own stories, because that way they wouldn't have to pay permission money for the stories from Dangerous Visions. So I said, okay, I'll come up with a framing device. And I came up with this wonderful framing device where I'm out in this blue glass desert, and buried in the desert is like the spirit of St. Louis and the Capitol Record Tower and the Empire State Building. And I said, and there's this little pyramid, and I'll put my hand on it, and it'll encode my DNA, and it'll rise out, and it'll be as high as the Pyramid of Giza, and I'll take you inside and down into the dream corridor, and behind each door will be a new story. And they said, what? 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 And I said, well, and I said it again, and they said, it's good talking to you. We're going to see you later. Don't, take any wooden enchiladas. And away they went. So now about 3 weeks later comes HBO to say the same thing. Yeah. And they understood the frame mechanism, but they said, well, why don't you get some storyboards made? I thought, are you going to pay for the storyboards? No. They said, well, no. And I said, yo mama. And so that was the end of that. So now I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking the only way I'm going to do this TV series. And they kept saying, well, you'll be like Rod Serling. I said, no, I won't. No. First of all, because I don't talk
Who was the other guy that did it on Showtime, the writer? It was,
Bradbury?
No.
Bradbury's on USA.
USA. It'll come to me as you're talking. So.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, Vonnegut.
Yeah, there was a series like that. Well, anyhow, so I figured, okay, now how can I get storyboards made where I won't have to spend $1 million? I figured, a comic book. And I've been reading them all my life. Yep. So I dreamed up Harlan Ellison's Dream Corridor. And Dark Horse Comics said they would do it, and my deal with them was we would not talk about it until there were 5 issues finished and in the can. 3 years we've been working on this book. 3 years. Nobody has known about it. This just came out. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I got my own comic book. I am real happy about this.
Good. I want you.
Look, it is all
pleases him.
There is good stuff in here. Look at this. This is real pretty. There's comics.
Okay. If they don't, let me tell you. You have won more awards, received more honors than any other writer I've ever read or heard of or met in my lifetime. If they don't buy this, pal.
Oh, it's selling real well.
Oh, fine. Then put it away, Put it.
And everyone has an original story by me in it.
How much do you love making personal appearances in bookstores to sign your books?
In Houston, they made me sign from 2 till 6 o'clock. And then they brought out 100 mail orders, and then they brought out 150 of the store stock. And I was, I shall never dance again. Yeah. I do it because it's part of the job, the way you do promos because it's part of your job. Right. But I don't like it. How can you like going to a far venue and sitting there for endless hours with no food, no water, people being rude to you? The worst. The worst. Okay. And this is the worst. Okay. Like, I've written a lot of books. I got 62 books. Right. So there's invariably one dude in the line. He's always got the strabismic eyes. He looks like, one eye is going this way, the other one's that way. And he's got a box. And the box is from 1912, and he's got 114 of my books. And behind him is always a pale, weazened woman carrying another 30 and say, the wife. He's schlepping the poor wife. She'd like to be at home, washing the clothes, but instead she's been dragged by this monomaniac to a place, gets signed books. And behind her is usually a rickets-laden child who's got about 12 or 13. And he's brought the whole damn family and buys one damn paperback. He says, here, sign all 1,400 of them. And I say, no, I don't think so. And he says, sign them. I says, no. He says, well, I bought your book. I says, that's what you get.
Yeah, you get my book.
You get a book. Yeah, that's what you pay for. I said, I give you the signature out of the kindness of my heart, you maniac. And they said, boy, are you rude.
He's not rude, but he is direct, and his name is Harlan Ellison, and I thank you for being here tonight. Come and see us anytime. Always a joy.
Thanks, Tom. My pleasure. Always.
Now on to your new best friend, Jerry Patterson of Texas.
Bang, bang.
We'll be right back with the Senator after these messages. Stay with Elliot Forrest on the Late Late Radio Show at 1-800-890-9990. Drive safely on the way home. Have a good weekend and sleep tight, America. Good night, everybody.
And that's all, folks.